Should friends set each other up on dates? The question sounds simple, almost playful, like something tossed around during a long afternoon conversation. But underneath it lives a complicated world of trust, vulnerability, hope, and the quiet courage it takes to let someone else guide your heart toward possibility. And the answer is not a quick yes or no. It is a journey. So take a breath, settle into the moment, and walk with me through an idea that matters far more than it seems. We live in a world overflowing with choices yet strangely lacking in connection. Surrounded by people yet lonely. Connected online yet drifting in real life. In the middle of all that confusion, it can feel like we are meant to figure everything out alone. Who to love, how to love, when to open up, when to hold back. We guard our stories carefully and tell ourselves no one could possibly understand what or who we need. But sometimes someone does. Sometimes a friend sees you more clearly than you see yourself. They notice the way you light up when you talk about the kind of person you hope to meet. They notice the patterns in your heartbreaks. They notice your strengths, your blind spots, your hopes, and the fears you never quite say out loud. And they think, I might know someone who fits this heart. Before we talk about whether friends should set you up, sit with this truth for a moment. Being seen is rare. Being understood is rare. And having someone care enough about your happiness to take a risk on your behalf. That is something beautiful. But here is the real beginning of the question. Should they do it? Should we allow it? Should we trust that maybe, just maybe, the people who love us have a different kind of wisdom about what might be missing in our lives? It is easy to say no. It is easy to protect ourselves. We have all known awkward blind dates, mismatched introductions, moments where a well-meaning setup turned into an uncomfortable memory. And those experiences make us want to stay in control. We tell ourselves things like, no one else understands my taste. Or, I can find someone on my own. Or even, I do not want to owe anyone anything if it does not work out. But listen softly for a moment. Underneath those statements is something deeper. A fear of disappointment. A fear of being vulnerable in front of someone who already knows us. A fear that if the date goes wrong, the friendship might feel strange. A fear that if it goes right, everything might change. And change is its own kind of unknown. So should friends set each other up? The answer begins with courage. Not courage to go on a date, but courage to trust the people in your life who want to see you happy. Courage to let friendship become a bridge instead of a boundary. Courage to believe that love sometimes arrives through unexpected doorways. Because here is something people often forget. A setup is not about forcing destiny. It is not about guaranteeing romance. It is about creating an opportunity where something meaningful could begin. A doorway, not a promise. A chance, not a requirement. And chances matter. Think of every important moment in your life. How many of them happened because someone else opened a door you did not know existed? A job, a hobby, a life lesson, a moment of clarity. We are shaped by the people who gently nudge us toward better paths. Why should love be any different? When a friend sets you up, what they are really saying is, I believe you deserve connection. I believe you deserve someone who values you. I believe I see something in you worth loving. And I think someone else will see it too. That kind of belief is powerful. Even if the date leads nowhere, that belief leaves a mark. It reminds you that you are not alone in the search for happiness. But let us pause here for a moment. Because it is not just about being set up. Sometimes you are the friend. Sometimes you are the one holding the possibility of a spark between two people you care about. And you hesitate. You wonder if it is your place. You wonder if you might misjudge. You wonder if it will be awkward if it does not work out. Maybe you whisper to yourself, what if I am wrong? Here is the truth. You might be wrong. The date might be awkward. They might not connect. They might walk away saying, well, that was interesting. And never speak again. But what if you were right? What if two people who had been walking through the world separately suddenly find each other because of you? What if you hand someone a moment that changes their life? What if a simple introduction becomes the beginning of a story they tell for decades? There are few gifts more profound than giving someone a chance at love. But it must be done with care, with respect, with gentle understanding of who they are. A setup should never be about pressure. It should never be about fixing someone or making them feel broken or incomplete. It should not come from pity or impatience. It should come from admiration. From noticing two hearts that carry something similar. From a desire to give someone another chance at joy. If you are the friend doing the setting up, your role is not matchmaker. Your role is storyteller. You tell each person, here is why I thought of you. Here is what I admire in you. Here is what you might appreciate in each other. Then you step back. You let them be the authors of what comes next. Friendship can be the birthplace of great love because friends know our histories. They know how we have grown. They know what we have survived. They know what we value, even when we forget it ourselves. Sometimes, they see our ideal partner not as a fantasy but as someone who matches the real us. Still, there is another layer to this topic. What about the fear that a setup might damage the friendship? What if the date goes terribly? What if someone feels embarrassed? What if someone feels misjudged? This is where honesty becomes essential. A good friend says, I thought of this because I care. But you do not owe me a storybook ending. You do not owe me a second date. You do not owe me gratitude or explanation. You only owe yourself the willingness to be open. When that understanding exists, there is nothing to fear. Even a bad date becomes something to laugh about. Even a mismatch becomes a shared memory, a tiny moment in the long and winding history of the friendship. Because a true friend does not expect perfection. They only hope to see you move toward the life you want. Let us step into the heart of the matter now. Sometimes the biggest obstacle is not fear. Sometimes the biggest obstacle is pride. We do not want to admit we need help. We do not want to admit we are tired of trying alone. We do not want to admit that the search for love has worn us out, even though we pretend it has not. But asking for help is not weakness. Allowing someone to guide you is not defeat. Letting a friend introduce you to someone new is not a sign that you failed. It is a sign that you are willing to keep your heart open. And that vulnerability is a quiet kind of strength. The truth is, friends setting each other up is not really about dating at all. It is about community. It is about connection. It is about the belief that love does not have to be a solitary journey. We are meant to hold each other through every chapter of life, including the chapters where we look for someone to walk beside us. So let us return to the question. Should friends set each other up? Yes. When it is done with care. When it is done with respect. When it is done with good intentions. When it comes from a desire to help someone grow, not to fill a void. When it comes from seeing someone clearly and wanting the world to see them too. And should we allow our friends to set us up? Yes. When we trust their heart. When we know they want the best for us. When we understand that love sometimes requires stepping into the unknown. When we are willing to take a chance not only on romance but on ourselves. Because ultimately, the question is not about whether the date will succeed. It is about whether you believe your life is still full of possibilities. It is about whether you believe that connection can surprise you. It is about whether you are brave enough to let someone else believe in your happiness. Imagine for a moment one simple possibility. What if the person your friend wants to introduce you to is kind? What if they carry a gentle humor that makes you feel safe? What if they understand something about the world in a way that sparks curiosity in you? What if they listen in a way you have not experienced in a long time? What if they become someone who changes the way you wake up in the morning? What if one small yes leads to a lifetime of laughter and warmth? Would that be worth the risk? Of course it would. And imagine this possibility as well. What if the date leads nowhere? What if there is no spark? What if you go home afterward, shrug, smile, and say, well, that was interesting. Would that be such a terrible thing? No. Because every moment spent opening your heart is a moment spent growing. Every experience teaches you something. Every attempt strengthens your courage. And every time you say yes to possibility, you remind yourself that you are alive and hopeful and still willing to chase connection. So the real truth is simple. Friends can and should set each other up. Not because it guarantees love, but because it invites hope. And hope is the foundation of every good story. Let yourself be open to the chance. Let yourself trust the people who care about you. Let yourself believe that love comes in many forms and sometimes arrives through the hands of those who know you best. And if you are the friend who feels two stories might belong together, offer the introduction. Do it gently. Do it thoughtfully. Do it with warmth. And then let go. Because the magic of connection is never forced. It simply happens. And when it does, it feels like destiny disguised as coincidence. So should friends set each other up? Yes, when the friendship is strong, when the intention is pure, when the moment feels right, and when the heart is open. Say yes to the possibility. Say yes to the courage it takes to let someone else guide you toward connection. Say yes to the chance that something beautiful might begin with a simple moment of trust. Because at the end of the day, love is not about perfect timing or flawless planning. Love is about being willing to stand at the doorway of the unknown and take one step forward. And sometimes the person holding that doorway open is a friend who sees something in you that the world has not seen yet. Someone who believes you deserve joy. Someone who believes your story is not done growing. Someone who cares enough to say, "I have an idea, and I think it might make your life a little brighter." Let yourself believe in that brightness. Let yourself believe in the unexpected. Let yourself believe that the world is still full of moments that can change you in beautiful ways. And remember this: love does not always arrive through the front door. Sometimes it walks in gently through a side entrance, held open by a friend who simply wants to see you smile.